I used to be the coolest kid. I had the latest toys, the most expensive clothes, the rarest sneakers money could buy. Our driver would take me to school in Dad's Jaguar convertible, and I used to always be the envy of everyone. Hi, my name's Liam. When I was a kid, everyone at school wanted to be my friend. Boys and girls hung around me everywhere I went, hoping to get my attention. But I only had one real friend. That was Huey. Huey was one of the cool kids like me, but we couldn't be more opposite than the sun and moon. I was a jock. Huey was a nerd. I had lots of girls. Huey preferred being single. I was rich. Huey was... well, he lived in a matchbox house with a family of 6. But despite our differences, Huey and I hit it off as soon as we met. And we'd been inseparable ever since. Being the only 2 people at school who could compete with each other, Huey and I were neck and neck in academics. We would sometimes even take bets on who can score the highest on our exams. We were pretty evenly matched, so we moved to competing for girls. There was one girl I'd always had a crush on, and coincidentally, so did Huey. Her name was Angela, and she was probably the prettiest girl in town. Angela never dated anyone. Anyone who dared ask her out was met with a cold stare and a harsh rejection. She never hung out with anyone, nor did she make any friends. And so, Huey and I decided that whoever got to take Angela to prom would win our years-long competition once and for all. I came in hard, and I threw as much money as I could at it. First, I gave her gifts. Before class would start, Angela would open her locker to find a different gift every day. Chocolates flown directly from Belgium, Prada sunglasses, VIP tickets to a Taylor Quick concert. But every day, the result would be the same. Angela would grimace, and then she'd dump my gifts in the nearest trash can. I even ended up paying other girls to spy on her, to befriend her and find out what her dreams are, her wildest fantasies, so I could make them come true and win her heart. But I failed miserably. All it took was for one strum of Huey's guitar, and Angela was enchanted. Every afternoon, Huey would sit at the quad and pluck his guitar strings, and Angela would sit by him and close her eyes. And nothing infuriated me more. I offered her private concerts from world-renowned guitarists, and she still rejected me. When I came up to her and presented her with a rare guitar from Spain, she simply rolled her eyes at me and walked away. I was starting to lose hope, and my pride got the better of me. How could I lose to someone like Huey, who had nothing to offer? And so, I did something I still regret to this day. I sneaked into Huey's house one day, grabbed his prized guitar, and threw it off the bridge outside of town. I watched as the guitar fell, hit the rocks, and floated away. It felt good. I felt triumphant. Until I saw my best friend the next day. He was extremely mad, but I could tell he was also inconsolably sad. I'd done something unforgivable, I knew that, and it was the first time Angela actually spoke to me. How could you do something so cruel to your own best friend? Neither of them spoke to me again. Fast forward many years later, and I'm a junior executive in my dad's company. One day, Huey came in looking ragged and helpless. I know we haven't seen each other in so long, but please, I need your help. At that point in my life, I had grown up a bit. I was no longer the boastful, arrogant, spoiled rich kid I was, and I felt bad for Huey. I helped him out and got him a job at the office, and Huey learned everything he knew from me. I was happy to have my old friend back, and I was even more happy to learn that Angela and him got married. I even helped him secure a home loan so he could start a family. But the good times didn't last very long. Huey used all the knowledge I gave him to rise in the ranks, and he became a senior executive even before I did. Huey became greedy once he had access to the corporate accounts. He wanted to be flashy. He never used the money he earned to take care of his new wife. Instead, he bought a fancy car, a Rolex, all the things he had been envious of growing up. Things he couldn't afford. And then, a scandal broke. Our company was caught up in an embezzlement scheme on that very same day Huey didn't come into work. And we immediately knew it could only be him. Huey siphoned millions of dollars from our investors into his own pockets. But who was blamed? Me. Huey made all the evidence turn up, and he made all the guilt point towards me. I was stripped of my position. My dad was replaced as chairman. My entire family, the very people who built the whole place, were pushed out to avoid the company's downfall. And I was never allowed to work in the same industry again. I was sentenced to 5 years in prison. I got out in 2 for good behavior. My whole life was shattered. When I got out, our house had been sold. My bank account's empty. All our assets were seized. I couldn't even get a job at a Starbucks. I turned to driving for Uber. All our cars had been taken away, but my old trusty Toyota was still in the garage, and I used that. It wasn't too bad of a life. Most of the time, the people who hired me weren't weird or rude, and I made decent money. A few months later, I had enough to get out of my parents' basement and rent my own apartment. It was far from the life I knew, but it felt satisfying to slowly climb my way back up. One day, I got a request for a pickup that shocked me to my core. I took the request, and when I pulled up to the airport, Huey got into the car without even looking at me. It was only when he got off that he looked at me through the rearview mirror. There was a split second where surprise flashed across his face, but he smirked and handed me a $20 tip. My, look how the mighty have fallen. Didn't know you were already out. Didn't know you still had the guts to show your face around here. Careful now, or you might just get a 1 star. See if I care, bud. Ooh, spicy. No, seriously. Take the cash. I know you desperately need it. Especially since I can smell the cheap sandwich you had for lunch from back here. Oh, and here's my card. I want you to be my personal Uber. Think of it as a peace offering. You get money, I get to give to charity. Be here tomorrow at 3 in the afternoon. I got a flight I gotta catch. 3 sharp. Comprende? And with that, Huey stepped out of the car. I didn't want to take up his offer. I couldn't believe he was out here, walking free after everything he did. After all the money he stole. But money was tight that week, and I needed all the opportunities I could get. Huey promised to pay me $500 just to shuttle him around for the day, and to take him to his flight. As they say, beggars can't be choosers. So, at 2:55, I pulled up to Huey's driveway. The door opened, and I saw Angela step out with him. She was visibly pregnant. She kissed him, handed him his luggage, and waved goodbye. I wondered where he was off to on his own wedding anniversary. Huey got into the car, and the smile he had from saying farewell to his wife vanished. I added a stop. I saw. Make it quick. I have a flight to catch. The ride went on without any issue, until I saw where the stop was and who was getting on with Huey. It was a motel off the highway, and Huey stepped out to greet a young lady who looked exactly like my dad's old secretary. They kissed. I looked away. This, obviously, stays between us. I couldn't stand his arrogance. He never even apologized to what he did to my family. All he did was flaunt his money. The money he stole. He flaunted his affair. What? Did he think I was too weak? That he had destroyed me completely, that I wouldn't have the confidence to strike back? Well, he was wrong. Huey and his side piece were so distracted from giggling with each other and making out that they never even noticed that I'd taken a U-turn. I drove for a full 30 minutes, and not once did the two passengers look up to see where we were headed. The secretary eventually pushed Huey away from her and began to touch up her makeup. I can't wait to get to Florida. Sun, sand, sea. And when we get back, you'll finally tell her you're leaving her, won't you? Yes, babe. We'll tell her together. Oh, I can't wait to see the look on her face. Why don't you see the look on her face now? I honked 3 times to make sure Angela came out to check who was at their driveway. Huey looked up, and when he finally realized that I'd driven them back to his house, his eyes widened with fear. No. No, man! You can't do this! You can't do this to me! Please, please, drive away! Turn the car around right now! Sorry, bud. If prison taught me anything, it's that people should suffer the consequences of their actions. I'll report you to Uber. I'll give you a 1 star. Try again. Just kick him out of the car and drive. Please, I'll do anything. How much money do you want? I slowly opened the car door and watched with satisfaction as Huey's arrogance was wiped off of his face. Angela saw me and put her hand on her mouth. Liam? Is that really you? I smiled at my long-lost crush. Yeah. And look who else is in the car. Huey's marriage blew up on their anniversary. Angela was so furious she filed for divorce on the same day. And guess whose mom used to be the top divorce lawyer in town? Mine. Angela got everything. By the time the divorce proceedings were finished, Huey was left with nothing but a beat-up car and a suitcase. Angela and I started dating. We got married a month after she gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. I loved Zane like he were my own, and I promised Angela I would never let him grow up to be anything like his biological father.